Hi everyone, it's LaShonda from Labors of Love with another Therapy Thursday video. So today I want to talk about beating the winter blues. I went out from the office today and it was a beautiful, kind of windy, crisp fall day around 60 some degrees. And I realized, man, this for me, I love the fall. I love wind, and it was just really nice to kind of be out in that weather. But I also realized that when I woke up this morning, it was a little darker than it normally is. And I also realized that by the time I'm done with my last client this evening, it'll probably already be dark. So, with that, I started to think about how many of us really struggle to be motivated and energized as the weather changes. Now, some of us are actually clinically diagnosed with seasonal depression, and some of us may not be diagnosed with it, but we definitely feel a lack of energy and have a hard time kind of keeping our energy up during the winter months. So I thought it might be helpful to just give people a few things to consider as we move further into the fall season and eventually moving into winter. One thing is, while the weather is cold and that restricts our activity sometimes, movement and being active is a very important part of kind of beating the winter blues. And so, if you have an opportunity with indoor space where you can literally walk around that space, maybe you work in a building that has stairs, you can walk the stairs, go to a different floor, maybe walk the halls and come back. While it may not be as effective to go outside on your lunch break and walk the parking lot or sit down, still remaining active with whatever opportunities you have is something that can definitely help us to kind of keep things going as the winter months come. Something else to consider is laughter. I know it may sound funny, but laughter releases dopamine. And dopamine is our reward chemical in our brain. And so, laughter. Sometimes when it gets cold outside and it starts to get drab, we're like, oh, it's so cold. And I just want to stay snuggled under my blanket. And while, believe me, I get it, sometimes just being able to have releases for laughter. So, whether there is a funny video of a loved one or a conversation that you had with a friend that you recall, a sitcom that you really enjoy, being able to have quick access to laughter can be so important as the days are starting or the sunlight in the day is getting shorter and, we just kind of feel kind of. I think another thing that's important is connection. Sometimes we start to lose connection as we get closer to the holidays. Things get more frantic, and we have a tendency to be so involved in our everyday that we start to reach out to people that we would normally reach out to less, have less frequent lunch dates with colleagues or dinner dates with friends. And so, this is just a reminder that we know life is going to get kind of busy. So, why don't we start pre planning some of those things and let's get them on the calendar now? We don't have to wait until things in life seem so overwhelming that we're like, oh, I can't do that. And these may seem like things that won't make a big deal, but sometimes the smallest changes can have some of the largest impact. So continue to move, be active, get up, walk around. If you have the ability to kind of exercise literally within your bedroom, your office, wherever you are, stretch, get up and move. Movement is important. Laughter. Laughter is so funny. There are so many podcasts and things that we can stream from our phones and technology that doesn't require us to do a whole lot, but can get us a good chuckle in. And connection. Pre-planning some of the connections with people doesn't have to be things that will cost a lot of money. Oftentimes, it doesn't even have to take a whole lot of time. We don't have to block off a 3-hour chunk, even though we would like to. But if we can organize to have 15 or 20 minutes with a colleague that we share an office space with, but we don't get to see, that can give us more energy than we realize. So as the weather is starting to get more cold and the daylight is getting shorter, we know that our bodies will have a tendency to sometimes lag and not have as much energy. We have less motivation. By simply putting some of these things in place right now, we can build the muscle to kind of, avoid some of that downage that we have with the upcoming winter. If you do struggle with seasonal depression or just getting going especially as the weather is changing. Labors of Love would love to walk alongside you on that journey. You can reach us at www.thelaborsoflove.com. Feel free to comment on our posts, follow us on all the major social media outlets, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we have a collection of our Therapy Thursdays videos, as well as other videos for your education and enjoyment. Until we connect again, be well.